What's going on YouTube? It's your boy J Huey and I got the best ARs in Warzone. You've been running around, you don't know what to use? Well, I got the answers for you. You like this video, want more content like it? Please like and subscribe. Alright guys, I wanted to show you where I'm getting my data for this video and my secret weapon for finding the meta in Warzone. Now this resource is a website called Truegamedata.com, and it's so important because Warzone doesn't always do a good job of telling us the different changes they're making in the game and the different effects they have on the guns. You know, one day you're shooting a gun and it's melting it, and next week you use it and it's shooting marshmallows, and that's when True Game Data comes into play. They going after every update and every patch, they test the guns and they upload them to the site. It's the most reliable source that I found to find the real stats of the guns and how I find the meta. So here I have a time to kill graph up on True Game Data from 0 to 300 meters of the top 10 ARs. These are probably the ARs that's going to fit into the meta. I will say this is the most unique meta that we probably ever seen, just because there's no gun that kills so fast or shoots so straight that you just gotta use it. Now that's really different because before, if you didn't use that gun, you put yourself at a disadvantage. Now there are still guns that kill faster than the others, but it really comes down to the gun you're best at and the gun you're going to hit your shots with. So just for example, right, you have the AMAX in red here. I know it's kind of hard to see, we're going to clear it up a little bit later. But you see like the AMAX in red kills second fastest, and then you got the Bruin, right? Now say you're a person that's better with the AMAX than you are with the Bruin, but the Bruin technically kills faster, and you use the Bruin, right? You use the Bruin, you start missing a couple of your shots. You don't get that same time to kill as if you would get if you hit all your shots, right? So then your time to kill becomes much less. Right? If you use the AMAX and the time to kill is so close, if you just hit all your shots, that you'll just be better off using the gun you're better with, right? So that's just important to keep in mind. So other than that, I would say that with every nerf and every buff, that Call of Duty pretty much has a targeted time to kill for their ARs and their subs of like where they want them to hit, right? That's why you can kind of see a lot of the guns hitting the same spot, because they want a balance within the guns, right? But that's why we have the numbers up, and you can still see that there's still different groups, right? Like the way I look at it, right? So we're using the AR, so you want to look at 100, 150, and 200 meters, and even 250, right? But we're playing Rebirth, so you don't want to go too far, right? So we can get the Kilo out of here for now. We can get the M13 out of here, M4A1 gone, the Growl gone. Right now it makes a lot more sense, right? So at 100 meters, you see there's a big gap between these three guns and these two. So I would say at 100 meters and really all the way down, right, there's a sizable gap. So these would be your TTK Kings, but they're all really in the same spot, right? So I wouldn't give one the edge above the other. You get what I'm saying? And then at 150, right, you still have the same edge. Now the gap is a lot less, so it's not crazy, but you will still feel this difference between these three guns, which are the Cooper Carbine, the UGM, the Bruin, and the AMAX versus the XM4 and the Vargo, right? And then right here at 200, you will have the AMAX and the Bruin, and then all the rest of the guns all together. And then at 250, you got AMAX, Bruin still, rest of the guns together, but the gap's a lot smaller. Now, once you put these guns back in, right, you can see, so we were comparing these four guns, right? We got the AMAX, Bruin, and the Cooper Carbine, and then the XM4 and the Vargo. There's another group that isn't still like, they're not crazy up there really, but they're definitely weaker. Like you will notice the difference, but it's not super crazy, right? So what you will notice with these guns, they're also the more accurate guns. So you have the Kilo, you have the Growl, you have the M13. Like they're sitting right there with them, but they are still a little weaker. So that's just something to think about. We can go over to my chart here, right? So I have all 10 of those guns ranked, and I will say, right, so what I'm grading guns on are your TTK. Your TTK is important because that's what's ultimately going to decide how fast you kill a person, right? And it can also decide if you want to lose a gunfight. So that's super important, and probably the most important part of finding a meta, right? So that's why we even looked at the graph. Then you have fire rate. Fire rate is important because say if you have like the AMAX, for example, that shoots really slow, right? It has to hit a certain number of shots to get that TTK. But if you miss a shot and it shoots slow, then of course, then your time to kill goes up. But if it shoots fast, then your time to kill might not change that much because it just shoots another bullet right after it. You feel me? So then you have accuracy. Accuracy is probably just as important as the other two. Well, definitely just as important as the other two, just because that if you hit all your shots, like what determines what wins in a gunfight 90% of the time is not time to kill, it's not fire rate, it's your accuracy. If you can't hit nobody, you can't kill nobody. And if you're hitting every shot, you're most likely getting a kill, you know? So you gotta use guns that you're gonna hit your shots with. And here I have them ranked basically on how easy they are to control. So then next we have handling. Handling is very important because that's like your movement, that's like your strafe speed, maybe reload time, ADS time. That's all important because that also adds in the time to kill, and it also adds into your movement, right? So if you have, say, for example, a large mag on a gun, that raises your ADS time, right? So when you aim down sight and then you try to shoot, that of course raises your time to kill. Versus if I had a gun that aimed in quicker, I could shoot you first, so therefore I will kill you first, right? So that's also very important. Then we have bullet velocity. Bullet velocity is basically the time it takes from when you shoot your bullet and it leaves your gun to hit the other guy. You know, sometimes when a guy runs around a corner and you might not get him, even though your aim was on him, it's because the bullet velocity might be low, or because maybe you shoot somebody out the air and the bullets aren't going when you need them to go. Then that's your bullet velocity, right? So that's still very important, especially in ARs, because you're going to be using them long range. You need your bullets to go when you send them, right? And it's less of a problem in Rebirth though, so that's a good thing. Then we got damage per mag. Damage per mag is basically the amount of damage you can put per magazine, right? So like say if you're playing quads, having a high damage per mag puts you up for success because you don't have to reload as much. So if you have a low damage per mag, even though you have a high time to kill, you might be reloading all day and you might not be able to get them kills, or you might not be able to be ready for a fight. So that's also very important and something I feel like is very overlooked and can really change whether you want to lose a gunfight. So let's just go through and talk about the top 10 right here. So at 10 I have the Bruin. So the Bruin is from our chart from before. You can see the Bruin kills the fastest, not within 50 meters, but we're not going to be using the AR there, but literally everywhere else, right? So the Bruin is TTK king right now, out of the guns that are usable, right? Or meta guns, you should say. It has a really good fire rate, but it's really hard to control. I can't lie. I used to like the Bruin. Everyone loves the Bruin, but it is hard to control. Comparing it to other meta weapons, I'm not saying that it's like just crazy. It's just you're not going to be able to control it. I'm just saying when you compare it to something like an M4A1 or a Growl, like it's significantly harder to control. And like I said, that's the most important thing. If you can't hit your shots, then you shouldn't even be using the gun. Then you have handling. It's of course slower because it's an LMG, right? Let me see if I can zoom in here. I need to zoom in. All right, yeah, there we go. All right, so we got the Bruin. Oh no, my fault. So we're at handlers because it's an LMG, so of course it's going to be slower. And like the reload's going to be slower. Your movement around the map's going to be slower. So that's something to think about, especially when playing Rebirth. Your bullet velocity is decent. Your damage per mag is good again because you got a 60 clip and it melts. It just flat out melts. You got the Kilo at 9. You know, Old Faithful. You know, that thing has a slow time to kill, but it has a decent fire rate. and you shouldn't miss a bullet with this gun. This gun is a laser beam. All right, so if you have trouble controlling recoil, try the Kilo. It's really good. Your handling's good on it. Your bullet velocity is also good. Your damage per mag is just a little low, just because the TTK isn't that great, right? Then we have the AMAX. AMAX has a really good time to kill. Not the best, but it's right in that second group we was talking about, and it's right there. And then you got the fire rate, and that's probably the thing that kills the gun, right? Is the fire rate, because it shoots so slow that if you just basically gotta be perfect with it, right? So if you're on that day, you're feeling good, use the AMAX. It shreds. But if you miss a couple shots, you're gonna be wondering why you lost a gunfight, right? Then it's pretty solid everywhere else except for the damage per mag. And for A1, I think is a very solid gun that I think is slept on. It has a decent time decay, pretty much decent everywhere. Only thing bad with this gun is the damage per mag, but this gun is great. I love using it. The Growl, I think, is just a step above the M4, just because it's so accurate. Like, you basically can't miss with this gun. Like, this gun is the definition of laser beams. Like, it's great. M13 is a great gun. They have just buffed it recently. It's great across the board, low damage per mag like the other guns we were talking about, but only thing about it, kills a little faster. Like, it has, so the thing that separates the M13 from a lot of the ARs that are steady, like the Growl and the M4 and the Kilo, is that it kills super fast. The M13 shreds, bruh. It's in the second group of time to kill, so like, you'll be shredding everything. UGM. So the UGM is interesting, right? Because this is an LMG, and I usually, like the Bruin, you see how I got ranked all the way at the bottom because it's an LMG. But I'm telling you, this gun kills so fast. The fire rate is so fast. It's accurate that I had to get a high rating, right? Only bad thing about the UGM is the handling and the bullet velocity. Bullet velocity, you don't feel it as much, literally because the fire rate, you're just sending them. It shoots so freaking fast. The bullet velocity doesn't really matter much, and you got 100 clip in your magazine. So really, only bad thing is the handling. So it's rough moving around because you got an LMG. ADS is a little slow, and the reload time, you'll be reloading like half the game. Like, you have a lot of bullets, so that's a good thing, but the reload time is definitely a killer. Now, the XM4 is... Next, we have the XM4, and the XM4 is probably my favorite gun. So, anybody knows me knows that I've been on XM4 bandwagon since the gun came out, and it's still great to this day. It has a great time to kill. Fire rate is awesome. Accurate. You just up and down recoil, pull down a little bit. It's perfect. Handling is amazing. It's just a great gun. If you like XM4... you need a new gun that I think should be Rebirth meta, because it's just a perfect gun for Rebirth. You don't have to shoot too far. Like, if this was on Caldera, XM4 probably wouldn't be on the list at all. But on Rebirth, you're not shooting extra long distances, and within those, like, up to 200 meters, like, you should be able to hit your shots. Vargo, I think, is the best gun if just for any person to get on the game and play. It doesn't have a hard recoil pattern. It's extremely accurate. Once you just literally take 2 seconds and try to learn it. Fire rate, it shoots super fast. Time to kill, one of the best time to kills in it. And handling and bullet velocity is great. Has a bad damage mag though, so that's one of the bad things. I forgot to mention about the XM4, because the XM4 actually has a good damage mag, and that's another reason why I love it. I don't feel like I'm out of bullets a lot for my fights. And then I think the number one gun in Rebirth, and I don't know why it doesn't get as much love, because this gun is freaking incredible, is the Cooper Carbine. It kills the fastest, it shoots super fast, it's accurate, basically no recoil, and the handling is really good. What people don't understand is you can do with this gun, you get a 60 clip, you don't get the ADS penalties that you get with all the other guns, and you can strafe with it. Strafing is so important when you use an AR, because you're supposed to use your left analog to aim. So you can aim with that while strafing, and that is it's an incredible power when using the AR. It has bad bullet velocity, but like I said, it's on Rebirth, so it's not it shouldn't really hurt you that much. And then damage per mag is low, but like I said, the handling is so good. You just reload and you're good. And that's my top 5. So let's get into these loadouts, class setups. So for the M13 and for any Modern Warfare guns, they're all made the same way. In most Cold War guns, they're all pretty much made the same way. So if you just take this blueprint, and if you have a different gun you want to use, maybe like the Modern Warfare AK or the AN-94, if you take this blueprint of what I'm about to give you, you can apply it to that gun and you will have the right setup, right? So we have monolithic suppressor. Then you want whatever barrel is the longest barrel on your gun. It usually says something like damage range and bullet velocity. Then you want VLK optic. VLK optic is very important because it lowers recoil. So once you have this attachment, even though it doesn't say it on the thing on here, if you go back to Truegamedata, like the site we were using, it actually lowers recoil. You can feel the difference in game. So that's very important. Commando foregrip and 50 round mags. 50 round mags is another thing that's important just because it's Rebirth and you want to be able to ADS fast and move around fast, and using a bigger mag than this is going to slow you down a lot. UGM, you want the MX silencer, you want the first barrel. Oh, I just took it off. Then you want the SVT 40 3 to 6 times scope if you're on PC. If you're on console, you want to go down to the 2.5 scope, which is the 2.5, the G16 2.5. So that's an important difference because if you play on a different FOV, the recoil can look different. So if you play on 120 FOV on PC, you use 3 to 6. If you play on console, use 2.5. This stock, tight grip, fully loaded, polymer, 100 round, lengthened, and hand stock. XM4. Once again, like I said, if you take this blueprint and apply it to all Cold War weapons, you will have the AR loadout for all Cold War guns pretty much. So you want the agency suppressor, the task force barrel, field agent grip. Sometimes you will be looking for specialized grip in here, but it's either specialized grip or field agent grip, 45 round mag, and axle arms 3 times sight. If you're on console, you could try the 2 times sight. If that doesn't work for you, use the 3 times sight. It just depends because like if you're on if you have a higher FOV, the recoil can look different and you can be able to use the 3 times sight. If not, it can look more zoomed in. You might have to use the 2 times sight. Vargo. So it's the same. So that's the same thing I was telling you. So this was field agent grip on the XM4. On this gun, it's the specialized grip. And this was agency suppressor. On some guns, it'll be the group suppressor. But it's the same thing. It's the last suppressor, right? Then we have task force barrel, 45 round mag, once again for the movement speed and the handling of the gun. And the axle arms 3 times, 2 times if the recoil is too much. Lastly, we have the Cooper Carbine, MX silencer, Cooper 22 Cooper custom, 3 to 6 times sight. Cooper 45W, hand stop, 60 round drum, lengthened, polymer, tight grip, and on hand. And on hand is another Truegamedata special tip. So on hand doesn't actually tell you that it increases bullet velocity, but that's one way that you have to go back and check what the attachments are actually doing. So probably the only drawback to this gun is the bullet velocity. You put on hand, it increases the bullet velocity, and then bang, this gun basically has no weaknesses. So that's important to have on there. Even though it doesn't tell you, I'm telling you, it increases bullet velocity and tight grip. And that is it.